Like sometimes I see sets from brands and I'm like, that's not a gift with purchase, that's a burden with purchase. Hey y'all, welcome to Cloverroom and welcome to another new makeup releases. I wish I had a cute name for my new makeup releases, but I honestly haven't been able to think of one that I like that much, so we'll just keep going with new makeup releases. But I'm excited to talk a little shit, talk a little bit about products I may want or have a desire or at least a curiosity about. I suppose I am in a no buy right now as part of my control delete project. I'll link some videos below about that if you are curious about where I am with buying makeup and kind of my mindset toward it. But I am not buying makeup right now. The long and the short and the medium, quite frankly, of it is that I am not buying makeup right now. So even the things I am curious about that I'll be talking about are not things I will be buying at the end of the day, at the end of most days until July when I'm able to buy those things. I may be able to talk y'all out of them, or, I think it's always just fun to watch somebody talk about the new releases, talk through them, because it's always interesting to see what these companies are trying to sell to us. I have done something a little bit different for me today. I've divided up the new releases into kind of like categories based on what the products are, how I think they kind of melt together, any trends that I'm seeing. And if you are new here, welcome. My name is Cam. I am a trans femme non-binary creator. I love to talk about beauty, clearly, but through a more intentional lens. I like to talk about pop culture and gender identity. So if any of that sounds good to you, you should go ahead and like this video. It helps me a lot. And subscribe if you want to see future videos. Now, let's get in to the new... I'm going to be playing with my hair a lot in this video. I hope y'all are okay with that. Let's get into the new releases. The first category of products I want to talk about, I have dubbed luxury in heavy air quotes. And with these products, I want to talk about how I think most luxury makeup is telling you and not showing you it's luxury. I think so many brands aren't actually giving you a luxurious product. They aren't actually doing anything that differentiates the product from a cheaper product or a product that is sold in more mainstream or drugstore locations. I think most of the time it's either they're just using their name to pass things off as luxury and worth the price, just not actually showing that anything they're doing is worth the extra price tag. They're usually just telling you. And the first example is a brand that I have picked on before. It's ISAMAYA. ISAMAYA has just relaunched their brand, I guess is how you would talk about it. They just launched in Sephora for the first time. I think some of it is available in Sephora stores. I haven't been to a Sephora in a while, so I don't know if it's actually in most stores or if that's just the larger stores. I have no idea. They branded this the core of ISAMAYA because before ISAMAYA was launched as kind of this limited edition capsule collection brand, and I don't think that was going well for like several reasons. So now they have released this permanent collection of products, and they released a lot of stuff, and it's all for the most part I think new. Maybe the mascara and a couple of the lip products have been released before, but it's all new like packaging, and it's kind of it's dubbed the core of ISAMAYA because it's the core line, I guess, and the future of beauty is the tagline associated with a lot of this. I'm just gonna put that up on screen. Why am I showing you my screen? Okay, and it is funny because like in that picture, she's like holding up this like lip product that I'm guessing is the lip. Oh, probably the hyaluronic lip. Hyaluronic. That does not roll off the tongue. That like falls off the tongue with a thud. The hyaluronic. She said, if you're going to make fun of me, let's make fun of your stutter. Lip plumper with, you won't believe it, hyaluronic acid, as if you couldn't tell by the hyalurolip name that comes with it. A brand's probably never done that because it's impossible to say. And she's like holding the hyalurolip. The hyalurolip. As if it's like, like a shot of something. And it's so funny because I've seen so much advertising for this on my Instagram feed. And in one of the ads, she's like, this is so great because you can get that kind of lip filler look without having to go to the doctor or having to have surgery. This is a product that can give you that kind of result. And it's just like, girl, be so fucking for real. I thought that was so lame because, again, I'm not trying to shame anybody for having cosmetic procedures or cosmetic services done. If I had more money, I would probably get a little Botox here, a little filler there, you know? And this is also a bigger problem because I think ISAMAYA as a persona kind of straddles the line between celebrity and makeup artist. She's a celebrity makeup artist. She kind of has her own celebrity in a way. I just think it's kind of a hallmark of celebrity or celebrity makeup artist lines that they're selling you a product that promises you a replica of their look that they've clearly spent thousands of dollars in cosmetic surgeries and services on. And it's just like coming from the perspective of somebody who doesn't make a tremendous amount of money and isn't a celebrity. I just, oh my gosh, that bang really itches me right there. Just this whole line, like there's like a color correcting serum thing that looks like a little vial of something. It's all like giving kind of like, I don't know, Disney villain lab and kind of like that sexy nip tuck, soulless, futuristic look with makeup. The packaging looks kind of interesting. The products look really lame and very similar to things you can already find on the market. That tiny little color correcting serum, the color correcting skin tint serum, I'm gonna guess that's not gonna last you very long. To me, it reminds me of like the ColourPop face milks for $38. Is that what it is? No, it's $44. It's just a lot of like, this is the future of beauty. I'm doing something different, but not in any meaningful or helpful way. And I just think, and I've said this before, at the end of the day, her brand just tries really, really hard. And I don't really think ever sticks the landing. I think it's like a lot of really expensive products that promise to be really different. But if you remove the ridiculous marketing and the ridiculous packaging, you get pretty boilerplate, boring products that are available from brands who I think actually have a lot more interest in innovating in meaningful ways for a cheaper price. It's clearly not for me. Not for me. The next in the luxury subcategory is Pat McGrath. I saw this come through my feed. I am using Makeup on Your Radar for most of the video. That's what the Instagram account I'm pulling from, so follow them. And I was like, okay, did were we cleaning out the warehouse and we forgot to launch the other half of the holiday collection, the candy cane part? But it's not a holiday collection, it's Pat McGrath collabing with Candy Crush. And then this is a quote from Pat. Again, air quotes around all of this in the subsection. Coming soon, get ready to crush it with vibrant color and endless glamour. I don't think she said that. These lipsticks and glosses that I'm not sure if they're new shades or not. It almost doesn't even matter at this point. Whatever. And then a nail polish, which I don't know if she's had nail polishes before, but $32 nail polishes. And all of the packaging has this candy striped Candy Crush logo on it, which looks incredibly cheap. If those are new lipsticks, they look just like her old ones. The glosses look pretty, but again, a lot like her older ones. So part of me thinks it's just repackaged existing shades. And even if they are new shades, who really cares? And then the nail polishes, there's so many options for nail polishes these days to buy $32 ones from Pat McGrath for a very standard red and a very standard, not my favorite shade of true gold. That doesn't make a lot of sense for me, especially when you're not even getting the best of Pat McGrath. You're getting Pat McGrath with a candy cane sticker on it in March. Luxury, I think not. And the last submission I have for luxury in air quotes is Prada Beauty. Luxury in air quotes, the concept I think actually really, even though the first two brands I talked about are celebrity makeup artist brands, I think the concept really originates from how bizarre I think luxury brands from fashion houses, their beauty brands are. Because I have some luxury favorites. Like I love the Valentino blush I have. What other luxury favorites do I have? Do I have any others? I don't really know if I have any others, actually. I do love that Valentino blush, though. But, like, I have the Chanel lip product. And we're not going to talk about a new release from Chanel. But truly, if you got rid of any hint of the branding on it, you would not be able to tell it's from a luxury fashion house or it's luxury in any way. And I just think so often these fashion houses just use their names and then they're like, yeah, we're Dior. We can charge $40 for a lip gloss because we're Dior. But then you get it and it's the same plastic packaging that any other brand uses, mainstream prestige or drugstore, very similar weight. Because a lot of times I think creators who talk more about luxury makeup talk about the packaging and then also how the formulas are more friendly to mature skin. That second thing may be true in some cases. I also think a lot of other brands create formulas that are friendly to mature skin, but also I don't have mature skin, so I don't know. But the packaging thing is always, it's always so bizarre to me because on paper or on screen, I suppose, yeah, it looks nice, but then you go to Sephora and you actually hold it and you're like, this is, like, I don't think they have access to the luxury plastic factory. Like, I think all these brands are using very similar plastic and non-metal, non-interesting or heavy material packaging for the most part. So it's all giving luxury in air quotes. And the brand I am going to be talking about is Prada because they released an expansion of their eyeshadow quints, I believe. Quads? Okay, I think they're quads. I don't know. Like, if you didn't know Prada, okay, I don't need to show you on my screen because I have the magic of Adobe Premiere. Like, why do I keep doing that? I think if you didn't know, Prada's signature quad thing was like the triangle with the two triangles around it and then like a skinny rectangle on top. And if it didn't obviously say Prada on it, like to me, it just, like I look at that and I think it could definitely be from Revlon. Like it looks like a drugstore quad. Like it doesn't even look like a drugstore quad trying to be a luxury quad. It just looks like something that would fit right in CoverGirl or Revlon or one of those brands. And the colors, I mean, they're like pretty neutral colors, I suppose, in these expansions. Because when these originally released, they were quite bold, but at least they were like interesting color stories. These are just the most standard, boring, warmish, neutral pinks and browns that you can find from any brand. And I guess there's like a single eccentric accent shade. Like, and you know, there's like shiny metal on the front that says Prada on it. I don't know if these are actually housed in metal, but they're $85. Wow, I just feel like you're paying $85 just so you can have some probably boring standard low pigment eyeshadows that Prada has stamped their name on. I just don't get it. To me, it's not luxury. They also released a mascara that looks old. Like, I'm sure that's part of the packaging design, but it looks very much like what I would expect the Prada counter to have sold as their mascara in like the 80s and like an 80s Macy's or Von Maur or something. Like it's giving that, which I'm sure is by design. But then you look at the comb and the comb is like scary. Like, I don't know, there's something like really nefarious about it. Something like, I don't trust that mascara. It scares me. And then even, I feel like this has been happening more and more with mascara ads. I look at them and I'm like, that doesn't look good. Like, if the goal is to make me want to put that on my lashes, the goal is not being met. Like, I don't know. They just look really clumpy, really spidery, and like so clumpy. Just very clumpy, not very lengthening, even though it's called the lash lifting and lengthening mascara. And again, I'm just questioning, like, what is luxury about any of this? And I think it's the name and what they're allegedly saying the products are. But I think once you get the products in your hands, I'm not seeing the luxury. Moving on, the next subsection is going to be called Everyone is Releasing Blushes in the Same Color, which is cool, I guess. All right, so of the everyone, we've got Saie's new baked blushes. We've got Tower 28's new powder blushes. We've got Rare Beauty's new powder blushes, but I think they're one of those bouncy cream to powder non-binary type formulas, doesn't know what it is, and we love that. We love that for them and we honor it. And then Fenty has also released an expansion of their cheek suede powder blushes. There is kind of, and I think this has been confirmed by people who actually like work at Sephora, when you are a Sephora brand, and all of those are very like capital S Sephora brands, I think they do most, I mean, Fenty started in Sephora. They sell at Ulta now. Rare was a similar thing where they were started by, I forget the company, but the one that like Sephora has a stake in. So similar to Fenty. And then Tower 28 and Saie are both brands that do have their own websites and do sell on other platforms, but I assume, and I think they've gotten most of their clout, notoriety, and probably sales from being sold in Sephora. And there's this understanding that I understand, that I've understood from the internet, that, and also from just watching products come out, that Sephora, when you are a capital S Sephora brand, has a pretty big stake in your new releases, and it has Saie in them. Not S-A-I-E, but S-A-Y. They have say in what you're going to release. And they want to see certain benchmarks hit with shades and with textures and a certain clip that you're supposed to release products at, because new releases are what sells, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes a bunch of brands that are capital S Sephora brands come out with products, and that really comes out because all of these blush ranges are just so similar in shades. The girls want a non-blush blush that's still a blush and still hits the blushy blush marks with the mauve blushes and the pink blushes and the peach blushes, but it's gotta be a little earthy and not a blush while it's still blushing, because we're blushing, but we're blushing with more neutral tones as we blush with the blushers, that the blushes are blushing with the blushy companies that are blushing. And that, I think, is the vibe. Like, all of these ranges, they're like these neutral-ish blushes, like a neutral mauve, a neutral pink, a neutral peach. And a couple of them have some bright pops in them. Like, especially like the Saie one is like the color that is seemingly allowed to be the pop is the bright baby doll pink, very much the Dior Rosy Glow blush that has already been duped so many times. So I don't know how we need more baby doll pink blushes, but I think clearly that is a shade that sells well, which is why there's one in all of these ranges. And that's like kind of the only color they're allowing to be like a true primary blush. The rest of these are, like I said, a rosy wood brown, a mauvey brown, a peachy brown, a brown, a warm brown, a nude brown. It's really interesting because I feel like, and this happens like pretty much in every trend, every industry, right? Like, you see a trend going one way, and there's been a trend, especially like in the beauty community that I haunt for a while, of wanting blushes that aren't exactly blushes, like wanting brown in a blush, wanting, you know, the Hannah Louise Poston old gum type blushes. And for a while now, I've been thinking, you know what? I think that's kind of like I'm getting kind of bored of it. Like, I mean, listen, I love, this is like, I'm wearing my favorite blush shade today, which is a combo of, what are you? REM Opening Night, which is this like reddy, rosy, brownie mauve color. Like a rosewood is my favorite type of blush. And then over it, I have REM Rose on Mars, which is another rosewoody brown type color. Like this is my favorite blush shade. And I feel like it used to be hard to find these neutral blushes, but now that all the brands are kind of getting on the train, like very much the Phytosurgence, the neutral range of Phytosurgence blushes, like this is Evaporate from Phytosurgence. And when they release these more neutral earthy tone blushes, it really filled that kind of gap and that intrigue that a lot of folks, again, in the beauty community that I find myself in, wanted, which was a blush that was still a blush and kind of a color, but held back with a little bit of that brown neutrality. And now that's really hitting the mainstream. But it's like hitting the mainstream in a way that I don't think is as successful as like brands like Phytosurgence have been, or brands that have been more ahead of this. Like, I think Pat McGrath Flirtatious is kind of like the first earthy, like neutrally, can't quite put your finger on it, beigey blush that I really loved and I bought. So brands have been like having one or two of these in their range for a while, but now the brief seems to be make all of your shades kind of have that neutrality. And it's kind of just boring because I think, again, the Saie release, I think it's kind of the weakest out of all of these, if I'm being honest. Even though I don't love the Rare Beauty cream to powder to convertible type thing. But I do like that it's a baked blush from Saie. I like a baked blush, but these just remind me of a lot of things you can get for cheaper. Like the Essence blushes, the baked blushes. I kind of regret decluttering mine, honestly. Very beautiful product, a really beautiful baked blush. kind of similar, if not more interesting shades than these. Because even when these larger brands are doing the more earthy neutral blushes, like I just feel like a lot of these still have that kind of primary pop. So try as they may, I feel like they still have like just a lot of white in them, honestly. And they're not going to look as great as something like the Phytosurgence blushes. I understand what all these brands are trying to do, but I think they're a little behind trend with this. All right, next subcategory is a very short one. It's called An Excuse to Talk About Lady Gaga's new album. But first the product, and then we'll get to Lady Gaga's new album. Haus Labs released this Bio Radiant Glassy Balm Highlighter Stick. And I couldn't believe the amount of people I saw talking about this that were like actually interested in buying it. Like no shade. But it's $30 for a what looks to me like a very boring like cream highlighter stick that you could get from a lot of brands for cheaper. I guess there's like a prismatic element of this that kind of looks pretty. And then of course Haus Labs, one of their things is like the skincare benefits from their products, which like they're claiming this helps strengthen the skincare barrier, mimics the skin smoothing benefits of retinol, and attracts and retains moisture in the skin. That is so stupid to me. Like I'm so like my apologies to Lady Gaga, but like so me putting a little bit of product here, maybe here. I like to put a little highlight on my lows. Rudolph the They Them Reindeer. And then like a little highlighter here. What good does it do if I put it on top of a bunch of product I already have on? And in those specific areas, it's going to mimic retinol? Like, what are we doing? You can keep that. And can we make this cost less than $30? Like, I don't know. And to me too, it just looks so standard. The colors look very standard. It's like a clear one, and then you got like a really white, like a really bright white, and then a champagne-y one, and a warmy gold one, and a pinky one, and then like a bronzy one. That's like the range for most cream highlighters. I don't know, for $30 and what looks to be a plastic stick, I don't get it. I don't understand why these are causing such an interest or intrigue, because it's just so easy with what's out there on the market to achieve this type of look. And so many things are already out there that cost much less money. To talk about Haus Labs as a brand, one thing Lady Gaga always has is a perspective and a very intense aesthetic. And the Haus Labs totally lacks that as a brand. It's almost in that it's like the lighter side of the evil cosmetics lab that like ISAMAYA runs on. It's like Haus Labs is the angel and ISAMAYA is the devil. And it's this like faux clinical laboratory, I mean it's Haus Labs aesthetic that has like a real lack of color or intrigue. To me, Lady Gaga is an artist that even when I don't like something she's done, there's a very intense vision and aesthetic, like I said, behind it. Like style. She really shows out with style. I just watched a TikTok of all of her like SNL performances, and it was so clear which era each of those was from, because she really differentiates between that. She really differentiates between eras. Even when they were at Amazon, there's just such a lack of creativity and intrigue, and that's just the opposite of what Gaga is as an artist. And it just falls flat for me as a brand, because that would be the part I'd be interested in. I'd be interested in her bringing that zany, unique creativity, and Haus Labs instead kind of likes to act like they are a brand that should be able to charge luxury prices because they're very clean cut and put all this useless skincare in their products. And that just, I don't know, to me it falls completely flat, not interesting at all. Say what you will about Gaga, she's never not interesting. Her brand, that seems to be what it is, bland, uninteresting, lack of aesthetic. Okay, and now to talk about her album, because that's what I actually wanted to talk about this product for. I don't like the new album, y'all. Like, I feel like that's an unpopular opinion. I feel like the girls are really liking Mayhem. I thought it was going to be kind of a return to like pure industrial Europop, and instead we're getting like 70s, 80s groove funk pop, and that's not what I wanted. That's not what I wanted. It's like not necessarily bad. So like the album starts with the first two singles. I didn't really like Disease. I liked Abracadabra. So Disease, whatever. Abracadabra, yes. And then Garden of Eden played. Love that song. And it really is that kind of industrial Gaga vibe. And I was like, rah, rah. Like we're getting, pause up, like Little Monster. I'm in high school. I'm so excited for this album. And then what like follows Garden of Eden is just like wavy baby like 80s 70s stuff, which I was just like, girl, I just put on like my black, like all black pseudo McQueen outfit to listen to this album, and that's not what you're giving me. Try to push past that and keep listening to it, because Chromatica really took a while to grow on me and for me to appreciate. I'm not like a Gaga stan, but again, as like I was in high school during her like first couple albums, and they were so important to me. Seeing the Fame Monster Ball tour in Louisville was such an important part of my adolescence. Like, I will always love and appreciate her for her advocacy and artistry and what she did back then that made it a lot easier to come out. Like, love her. Will always adore her. She has a special place in my heart. How Bad Do You Want Me, though, is a really great song. That and Garden of Eden are the two songs that I've like listened to a bunch from the album. But again, at least there's like a very distinct vision happening with this album. It's not just clinical grade skincare and pseudo luxury makeup products that are forgettable and boring. All right, next category. Okay, fine. I kind of want these things. First up is from NYX, a brand I've had a lot of luck with, actually. It's their new buttermelt powder highlighters, and they look so pretty. They're $12, which you can catch NYX on sale, usually directly through NYX or at Ulta or something like that. So I would probably wait for a sale, because as pretty as these look, they do come in like kind of cheapy plastic packaging. I saw a comment that said maybe these are a dupe of the REM Beauty highlight, which is what I'm wearing today and is my favorite powder highlighter, Miss Mercury from REM. So that kind of intrigues me. I also like love the look of the purple shade and the pink shade and the green shade. Oddly enough, I don't wear a lot of colorful highlighters. And I had the purple REM one, and I actually decluttered it, which I regret. Again, me regretting decluttering. What else is new? But I decluttered that, and I wish I had it back. So I'm kind of interested in that purple one. That pink one looks so pretty as like a blush topper and kind of like femme blushy moment. It looks like such a pretty pink. And then the green one too. Like, I don't know if I would really wear a green highlighter, but I don't know. It does look really, really pretty. I appreciate too that NYX, it says on here no makeup retouching. I don't know how much of that is true, but these product shots on the models' faces actually do look like they're wearing powder highlighter. Like, it's not completely glossing over a texture. There's not like a ton of photoshopping going on, but they look good. They look like really pretty powder highlighters. And it's nice when brands shoot their products in a way where you can actually see how they look on the skin. So I'll give them props for that too. I'm very interested to swatch these at Ulta. I'm curious because the texture and the pan embossing also looks similar to the REM highlighters. So I'm kind of curious if that actually is, if they are in that same realm, because the REM ones, like, I feel like these maybe look a little bit more high impact pigmented. The REM ones are more highlighter toppers and kind of have less, like obviously it's like very glowy and pretty, but there's an element of a cream highlighter in those. I don't know if this is the same. I'm really curious though. I really want to swatch these. Again, I won't be getting these even if I do want one until July, but I think it's a really good release. I really like the range, very fun, and again, I've had success with NYX before. The other product that really caught my eye when I was looking through new releases is the new sunscreen release from LiveTinted. LiveTinted makes my favorite SPF, the hueguard. It is just perfect. It is a great makeup primer. It is a really lovely moisturizer for the daytime, and the sun protection works really well on it in my experience, and there's no white cast. It's quite expensive, but I think the product it's worth it in my opinion. I've tried other stuff. I like the hueguard the best. So they released the hueguard Glotion, which I'm surprised L'Oreal hasn't trademarked that. The hueguard Glotion Mineral Sunscreen Broad Spectrum SPF. These have SPF 50. Wow. And there's one that's like a lighter pinky champagne color and one that's like a little bit more of a bronze color. I think it's like fair light and then medium deep. I love that these are mineral SPF. Says it's natural radiant finish. It looks really, really pretty. I trust LiveTinted when it comes to an SPF, since I love the hueguard so much. I like the packaging. I like the little squeezy tube, but that packaging has worked well for me with sunscreen. Again, I like that it's mineral sunscreen. Chemical can sensitize my skin sometimes or gets in my eyes and irritates them. It's $36, which I think is the price of the hueguard original, which is, again, quite expensive, but LiveTinted is a brand I really enjoy and, again, trust with SPF. So that's on my radar for sure. Like, maybe it goes on sale or if I need to buy a new sunscreen at some point. My only, I guess not concern, but reservation would be, one of the things I love about the original hueguard is that it's a really natural moisturized finish. And I have now tried the glow screen from Supergoop. I've tried the e.l.f. dupe of that. I've tried the Saie one, and I think I really don't like about those products is that I don't like it when my sunscreen decides my finish for me. I like something that's a more natural blank canvas finish is how I look at it, because I don't want to be super dewy everywhere. LiveTinted describes this new release as a natural radiant finish, but I would be curious how dewy it is, because I don't like, for most days, especially when I'm putting makeup on top, for it to just be like dewy, slippy everywhere. So that would be my only thing on why I would maybe prefer just buying the hueguard, the original one. But that did catch my eye. All right, next subcategory is very originally named eyeshadow! Exclamation point. There's a lot of eyeshadow out. Nomad Cosmetics released the Fairytale Europe palette. It looks very bright and very Disney inspired without actually being a Disney collab, but very like, you know, just fairy tale inspired. Princess sparkles and woodland neutrals. Nomad is a brand that really does not do it for me. I don't love their release strategy, I guess you could call it, or release plan. I find it quite... A lot of people are Nomad affiliates. A lot of people get Nomad in PR. And it seems very much like they do all these sneak peeks, and then everyone on the launch day... I mean, maybe not everyone, but most of the creators who receive it in PR on the launch day have videos that are exclusively about that Nomad palette that all go live at the same time, and it floods your feed. And it's like, it's hard to miss a Nomad launch day if you're in the segment of the beauty community that I'm in. And I think it's great that they give a lot of creators PR, especially a lot of smaller creators. I love that. But it just, the whole thing falls flat for me, because I'm never going to be that interested in a product that I primarily, if not exclusively, only see in content where the creator has been given that product. I don't see a lot of people naturally purchasing Nomad palettes and then making content about it. When I see Nomad content, it's usually because the creator has gotten that product in PR. And again, there's nothing wrong with PR. There's nothing wrong with creators getting PR. I think that's great. It's just, as a consumer, I just am not super intrigued to buy that thing when there aren't many reviews of those products where the creator wasn't gifted the product. So that will always fall flat for me, how kind of heavy-handed and downright clunky their launches feel to me. Their color stories also just like don't do it for me. I think in a world where there's a lot of eyeshadow palettes, a lot of their palettes are very, I don't know, the tones just always don't intrigue me in them. This palette especially, and I know it's a fairy tale palette, but it's just very, very primary, very bright, but kind of like a Crayola box, and less like a lot of... I don't want to say a lot of thought didn't go into this palette, but not a ton of like, how do we make an interesting yellow? Instead, we'll just put like a bright yellow in it. Like, I don't know. It's just giving like off-brand Disney, and I feel like there's a lot of makeup that does the fairy tale theme more interestingly, that does the romantic color thing more interestingly. Or if you really want like a Disney palette, there's a lot of options out there for you. Not my favorite. I don't really like the colors they've chosen. And also, again, as a brand, like, I guess it works for them because they do it every time, but the very heavy-handed release strategy of everyone who's gotten this palette in PR immediately making a video about it. And that's no hate for any of the creators that engage in that. A lot of my favorite creators get Nomad PR and make content about it. It's just not, honestly, like, the content I like to watch. Like, a lot of it's just focused on like comparing it to other Nomad palettes, and I don't care about Nomad as a brand, to be honest. Another brand that I do not like their eyeshadow palettes, and I know this from actually trying, not just from the vibes. Natasha Denona released the Bloom palette, which is this like peachy, pinky, floral inspired palette. It's a lot less pink though than I think I originally thought it was. Like, this is like very warm peach vibes, which I would actually prefer from a color story perspective. I wish there was a little bit more neutrality, a little less red and peachy, and a little bit more that mauve-y pink. I know Natasha already has like a bunch of palettes that have that color story that I'm talking about, but this one just looks like it goes very, very orangey, which isn't honestly like my favorite with eyeshadow. I also have tried, like, Natasha Denona isn't a brand I buy from. Are we fighting out there? No, we're friends. Are we friends? Should I get up and look? Natasha isn't a brand I buy from because of things the brand has done and things I've heard about the brand. Also, because I've tried a couple of Natasha Denona eyeshadow palettes, I just don't like her formulas, to be honest. I don't ever reach for them. I'm like, her mattes are a lot harder to blend out, in my opinion, than Viseart mattes, which are my favorite. The glittery shades are, like, some of them were pretty, but a little too opaque for my taste from what I remember too. I know she has some like more sparkly ones that are a little bit sheer, but as a whole, like, I had the Yucca palette and I really did not like the formulas in there. I find her mattes do, like, I don't know, I just, the way I always describe it is that Viseart mattes really want to like listen and kind of bend to what you want to do with them. They will build up, they will sheer out, they will blend out, they're perfect, they're beautiful, wonderful. Natasha Denona mattes are very like fussy in my experience, and it's not because I'm not good at eyeshadow or I need tips on blending eyeshadow. I'm like moderately okay at eyeshadow. They just like would get stuck a lot and they wouldn't blend all the way out, and they were just kind of frustrating to deal with. With all that being said, I just was like, I'm not gonna buy from Natasha Denona again for several reasons. She released another MIDI palette, and I know people love that whole system. They love the magnetic palettes thing. They can make their own custom color stories. A couple of cream and liquid shadows I wanted to talk about. Ilia, which is a brand I really like. Some people have a problem with that. Some people don't love that, but I like Ilia. They released eyeshadow sticks. I'm not super interested in these actually. I've tried a couple of cream eyeshadow sticks and I've never cared that much for them. A lot of people talk about how easy they are. Like, when I bought a liquid or cream eyeshadow, I've kind of bought it with like, this is going to be an easier type product mindset. But then when I'm in a rush, I always just reach for and go for a powder shadow. And I don't ever understand what's easier about a cream or a liquid shadow, because powder eyeshadow is so easy. Like, if I just want to do a little contour in the crease, I just pick up some with a brush, I'm done. So I've never quite understood what needs fixing about powder eyeshadow. Also, cream eyeshadows are always so much more expensive. You have to buy them like usually single shade. There's not like a ton of cream liquid palettes out there. And that's kind of my thing about these. Like, they look fine. They look like very standard cream eyeshadow shades. There's like some neutrals, and the pops are like these kind of ethereal minty greens and lavenders, like very standard cream eyeshadow stick release colors. And Ilia's a really expensive brand. These are $32 each. Either you're kind of committed to doing a one and done with these, or two shadow look in this range costs you $64. Like, I somewhat understand people use them as like bases, but I just would rather use a powder shadow. And then also, so many brands have released cream eyeshadows that have gotten pretty good reviews. Like, I think CoverGirl and ColourPop have some that people like. L'Oreal, I know, has some that people like. A lot of lower cost brands, and even lower cost Sephora brands. Like, I think Rare released some. I don't know, it's just such a crowded and also kind of niche genre. And it's not like a super, like, eyeshadow sticks aren't super trendy either. So with how crowded it is, with how niche it is, with how not trendy it is, it's just like, doesn't make a ton of sense to me for Ilia to come in and release $32 versions of that. Like, I just don't see it doing super well, but maybe I'm wrong. And then Moira, which is a kind of low-cost brand that I don't know if they sell through anybody. I think they may be exclusively direct-to-consumer. They released these multi-use cream pigments. And my first thought about these when I saw them and I saw the packaging, I'm like, those would never get used. Even if I was excited about the shades, I was excited that they were right at $10 or $9.50 each. Or maybe even got them on a deal. They have very fun kind of multi-chromy special shades in them. One, those types of like liquid shadows always dry weird on my eyes. And even in the model pictures, you can kind of see some patchiness happen or some texture emphasizing happen with them, which isn't my favorite. And then the fact that they're not on a doe foot, you have to squeeze them out. You will never use those. You will never use those because the smallest inconvenience with packaging will make you not use a product. And these seem to be, like, that's a huge inconvenience in my opinion because you have to squeeze it out. You're probably going to get too much. You either have to use a palette or your hand. And then with how textured these look on the model's eyeballs, or eyelids rather, I don't know. For me, it's just like kind of a puzzling release and a big pass. But maybe to some people, they would love these. To me, this just like reminds me of something a beauty content creator would swatch in a declutter and talk about how pretty and wonderful they thought they were and how much they enjoyed playing around with them, but they don't ever use them. But maybe they'll get more use out of them if they keep a couple of shades and keep them out, but then eventually they just declutter all of them because they never use them because the packaging is so annoying and it's not worth the hassle. And I think you can just go ahead and skip all of that and just not buy it at all. All right, next we have the Glossier report because I love Glossier, even though I don't like most of these releases. They released or re-released or made permanent, I guess perhaps, the solid version of Futuredew they released for their holiday collection. I was surprised by this because I don't remember anybody really caring or talking about this when they released it through their holiday collection. And then it went on super sale. And I guess it went on super sale to get rid of the holiday kind of ornament packaging they had it in originally. But it's $26, which is very, very expensive for a solid, no pigment, dewy, your skin but better highlighter. I think you could just use Vaseline and get a very similar result to this. I love Futuredew and I was interested in this product when it came out, but none of what I saw of people using it and of the model pictures convinced me that I really needed it. I don't think I would use this. I've gotten balmy, glowy, glassy, greasy highlighters before and I always end up decluttering them. And so I was surprised by this release, one, because I don't remember it doing that well, so I don't really understand why they're making it permanent. And then two, when I saw they were making it permanent, I was like, okay, surely they're going to release this as a range. And yes, they already have their Halo Scope cream highlighter sticks that have a range to them, but I thought they would at least release maybe a bronzy version of this too to go along with it, but it's still just the same kind of clear opal, pinky, but not really type shade. I'm just kind of puzzled why they felt the need to do this. I personally would have rather have seen a more makeup-y liquid or cream highlighter released because again, the Halo Scope they already had is already such a skincare look to it. Like that product does not have a lot of pigment, does not have a lot of base pigment shade to it, I guess you could say. I don't know. Like a lot of color to it, like a lot of discernible, like I can tell you're wearing a gold or a bronze. They said in the marketing that the Halo Scope was actually more kind of that makeup-y look than this. And the Halo Scope is already such a no highlighter to me that I'm a little puzzled why we're doing this. I would have rather have seen a more makeup-y highlighter. Or, I've been saying this for a while, I wish they would release more shades of Futuredew. Like the original liquid Futuredew. Like I think a bronze Futuredew, a gold Futuredew, a champagne Futuredew, a lavender, like that would do so well. I think it'd be so pretty, but I think they're really missing their chance to do it, which is such like a theme with Glossier. Like they waited too long to do the cloud paint bronzers. They wait like too long to do things where other brands have already done similar things, and it's just kind of frustrating. They are releasing a milky jelly cleansing balm, which I think makes a ton of sense. Again, something I feel like they should have done sooner with how popular cleansing balms have been, but at least we're doing it now. I love the Milky Jelly Cleanser. A lot of people have fallen out of love with it because of reformulations. I don't remember if I've used the most recent reformulation yet, but a lot of people really did not like that one, and it sort of kind of took the product out of favor, which is a bummer, but as far as I know, it's a cleanser I really love. And what I love about this one is I love that it comes in a squeeze tube. I prefer that to like a potted cleansing balm. I will say for me, I prefer a cleansing oil to a cleansing balm. But if it is going to be like a cleansing balm, I do prefer it in a squeezy tube. It says it starts as a cushiony gel, what is wrong with me? Gel, and turns into a silky oil, dissolves makeup and SPF. I'm interested in trying it. I don't know the price yet, but it does intrigue me. I will say I've been using just like micellar water recently, and I've gotten even stingier with the skincare I've used, so I don't know if I'll actually try it. But I do think that's a release that makes sense. And then they're also coming out, this surprised me, with a new fragrance really soon. I don't know when though. But it's Glossier Fleur. I don't know. It has the same Ambrox base as all of their use scents, but it's like the florally one basically. They released one that's more gourmandy. They released one that's more kind of like smoky, earthy. That's one I have. Oh, do. I have You Do. You Do. And I like it. I like the original Glossier You the best still though. Like that is the one I would repurchase. I don't know if I'd repurchase You Do, but I'm done. I'm interested to smell it. I think the bottle looks really pretty. I love a lavender periwinkle. Clearly. And I think it's a good release. I'm kind of surprised they're doing it so soon after they released those two other fragrances last year and they only had Glossier You as a fragrance for so long. I'm excited to smell it, see if it's something I would potentially want down the road. I'm in a fragrance no buy right now as well, so I wouldn't get it probably until July, but I'm interested and I think it's a release that makes sense. So potentially looks good. And I love the color of the bottle. The bottle's so pretty. Last category is just going to be rapid fire odds and ends. Covergirl released these clean, fresh, yummy blurred lipsticks for $12 each. These to me look a lot like Glossier Generation G lipstick dupes. That's one of my favorite formulas. I love a blurred sheer matte lip. I will say I wish they were less than $12, but intriguing to me. ColourPop released the Pretty Fresh Tinted Foundation Balm. A lot of brands are coming out with these more tinted complexion sticks, and it reminds me a lot of my beloved, I'm sorry with the sun really coming in and out by the way, I mean, I look really pretty. Actually, let's take a moment. It reminds me a lot of the Ilia stick that I actually have on today. I really love that product. I think Milani came out with one that looked intriguing, and now ColourPop has one. I would like to swatch them in Ulta to see if they are a similar kind of texture to the Ilia, because I do really think the Ilia is a special product, but it is quite expensive, so that's intriguing to me. The Ordinary re-released their serum foundation. They're doing it as a limited run. I think it sounds like they may make it permanent if it's popular enough. It is $7.50, which is a phenomenal price. And I remember trying the Ordinary concealer back in the day and really liking it. I don't know, liquid foundations don't really do much for me these days, but somewhat intrigued by that one and how good the price is. And I remember loving that Ordinary concealer, so somewhat interested. Fleur released Vanilla Smoke. It's a body and hair mist. Fleur's actual perfumes don't last at all on me, so I'm not really actually interested in this. But what I wanted to say is that if you do want a smoky vanilla, one of my favorite scents is Boy Smells Vanilla Era. It smells so delicious, and it kind of seems to have similar like kind of like cashmere, warm and spicy notes to this one. But it lasts. Like Boy Smells fragrances last a really, really, really long time on me. And to me, Vanilla Era, I'm using this as an excuse to talk about Vanilla Era, but to me, Vanilla Era is such a sexy vanilla scent. It's my date scent. So I have nice, well, not all nice memories tied to it, but some nice memories tied to it. I just wanted to take a moment to talk about this really ugly bag that Saie is offering as a gift with purchase. Saie Glow Essential Starter Set. It has a mini liquid illuminator, a full-size liquid cream blush, and a hydrating lip gloss oil. It's $45, and I just think brands have gotten way too comfortable with the ugly bags they'll give you with a purchase. They're calling it a chic and reusable jelly bag. To me, is really ugly, and I just wanted to call out how ugly and atrocious I thought that bag was. Like, it's kind of like a Barbie Polly Pocket toy come to life, and I think that can be a serve, but I don't think this one's a serve, especially since it has Saie so largely imprinted on it. Like, sometimes I see sets from brands, and I'm like, that's not a gift with purchase, that's a burden with purchase. And that's the new makeup releases video. Let me know if y'all enjoyed this format. The sun is changing, but look how gorgeous I look. I hope y'all enjoyed the new space. I hope everything worked okay for this video. I don't know about this background yet. There's not much I can do. I want to film in front of natural light, I think, although this was kind of a lot. So there's not like I'll probably add more bedding and maybe I'll there's not like really an opportunity to put posters up, but it kind of look like how like plain and clean it is. But let me know what you think of the background. Hope y'all enjoyed this video. Let me know your opinions on the new releases. Go ahead and give this video a like if you did enjoy it. It helps me a lot in the wild, wild west of YouTube algorithm. Subscribe if you want to see future videos. And thank y'all so much for being here. We're gonna be okay. Bye, y'all.